Come gather round, people, wherever you roam. Admit that the waters around you have grown. Accept it that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone. For the times they are a-changing. Come writers and critics who prophesize with your pen, and keep your eyes wide, the chance won't come again. And don't speak too soon, for the wheel's still in spin. There's no telling who that it's naming. For the loser now will be later to win. For the times they are a-changing. Come senators and congressmen, please heed the call. Don't stand in the doorway, don't block up the hall. For he who gets hurt will be he who has stalled. There's a battle outside raging. We'll soon shake your windows and rattle your halls. For times they are a-changing. Come mothers and fathers throughout the land, and don't criticize what you can't understand. Your sons and your daughters are beyond your command. Your old road is rapidly aging. Please get out of the new one if you can't lend your hand. For the times they are a-changing.
We're definitely at a moment of transition, a moment where an old media system is dying and a new media system is being born. An era when spectatorial culture is giving way to participatory culture, where a society based on a small number of companies controlling the storytelling apparatus is giving way to a much more complex mediascape where average citizens have the ability to seize control over the media technology and tell their own stories in powerful new ways. In a transmedia project, the story or experience is spread across a variety of media platforms, not in a way that's redundant, but rather in a way that's complementary, so that each platform contributes what it does best. Popular entertainment so far has been the best at exploiting these core principles. We might look at The Matrix as a story that unfolds across 3 feature films, a dozen animated short subjects, about 20 comic book stories, about 3 video games, and continues to expand as the audience takes it up and creates fan fiction, or fan art, or fan costumes, or fan theater. Reality is already cross-platform, and the reality is complex enough to allow us to have many different characters or many different stories on many different platforms.
It was a creed written into the founding documents that declared the destiny of a nation. Yes, we can.
So far, the biggest non-fiction success of transmedia storytelling is the Obama campaign. Here we see this political figure, relatively unknown 4 years ago, who exploded on the national scene by exploring every available media platform. Social network spaces like Facebook and MySpace, cell phone technology to connect to the voters. YouTube is a platform for distributing both official video and allowing consumers to produce their own grassroots video. The question is really, well, how do we go from participating in our culture to participating in our political and civic structures? If we look at, for example, the young people who made videos in support of the Obama campaign a year or so back, how many of them got their start making movies of themselves skateboarding or making fan films or whatever? They acquired their skill by simply playing around with media. In the terms of the Digital Youth Project, messing around becomes fur. They were involved in messing around the technology, geeking out around a certain set of subject matter. So what I'm interested in right now is what would it mean to geek out for democracy? What does it mean to be as passionate about the future of your society as you are about anime, about games, about the sort of forms of popular culture that young people are involved with?
I run an organization called the Harry Potter Alliance. I believe that there was a tremendous potential to make connections between Harry Potter and the real world. We are a Dumbledore's army for the real world, and like Dumbledore's army waking the world up to this terrible thing, we're waking the world up to things that we don't give enough attention to, whether it's ending genocide in Darfur or global warming. We team up with partner NGOs generally who have very successful programs, and we promote them within the Harry Potter fan community. From that place, over the course of the last couple of years, we've been able to leverage tremendous media that oftentimes our partner groups cannot get because the media doesn't see something interesting about a genocide that we can stop, which is kind of sad, but they do think it's interesting when a group of Harry Potter fans get together to do something. And we've been very effective in our activism around that. Part of the obstacle of making phone calls and knocking on doors, you oftentimes feel a little deflated, like, oh, what's the point of this? But if you're doing it as part of a global community, and that the whole world is literally watching and doing it with you, when you're doing activism, you're trying to elevate the human spirit. And when you're doing it and you literally can see other human beings doing it on the internet, celebrating it through a book that you love and all these relationships that you love, it really creates this oneness feeling that allows you to keep knocking on those doors, keep making those phone calls, and get your house to win the House Cup.
Oh, my precious Death Eaters! And let us show New York City what magic really is.
As Harry, Hermione, and Ron go on their last hurrah, we are lighting candles. All over the world, there will be hundreds of parties. We're calling them Lumos parties.
Lumos. And Nox.
We have sent 5 cargo planes to Haiti. We have raised over 55,000 books across the world at a youth village in Rwanda. We engaged in a competition on Facebook held by Chase Bank Community Giving, and we won $250,000. And we're using that money to make sure that we get 1 million people involved in LGBT activism, and to expand on our human rights campaigns, and to expand on our literacy campaigns. We're going to do 7 issues, which is very unconventional for a nonprofit to do, but we have to do this epic. We have to go with the books. 7 campaigns in 9 months. Everything that we've done over the last 5 years is about to be put to the test. One of the members of our organization says, we are the 8th book. We are writing the 8th Harry Potter book in the Harry Potter Alliance. We're continuing. This narrative is not going to end.
Hi, my name is Jedediah Jenkins. I work for Invisible Children. Invisible Children is a media-based nonprofit organization that works to bridge the gap between the West and really a specific region, northern Uganda, East Africa. We're trying to end the longest running war in Africa between the Lord's Resistance Army, a rebel group, and the Ugandan government. It's been ongoing for 24 years. And in that process, kind of wake up the Western youth, primarily the United States, to a life of activism and social engagement, and using their talents, creativity, skills, circumstance to live a life of purpose and meaning. And it started as a couple guys going to Africa, kind of discovering this conflict, telling the story when they got back, and it kind of snowballed into a nonprofit organization of people being moved by the footage they brought back, and asking how can we help. Almost everyone at our company is between the age of 18 and 30, and we really just come together and we're like, what has been missing in the nonprofit charity world, and what would we like to see? What would spur us to action? What would be something that is not just compassion or guilt driven, but adventure driven as well, and a lifestyle change? We really believe that it's about a lifestyle of being a global citizen. And so we tell the stories of kids in northern Uganda and the conflict. Our last event, which was last April, and about 80,000 kids came out to basically, we called it the rescue, and it was a symbolic, kids would abduct themselves to say, you know, am I as valuable as a child in Africa who's been abducted, and the world doesn't seem to notice. And so we kind of put together this piece of media after the event to promote our lobby day where we all kind of descended on DC to lobby our congressmen and senators.
War is a choice. It is a choice your generation does not have to make.
Your voices are so loud, and use them, use them, use them.
No matter what age you are part of the voice of the people. Even those who cannot hear in Washington will hear you.
Since the worldwide rescue event last April, Invisible Children has focused on one main goal: to end this war and bring home Joseph Kony's child soldiers. Over 80,000 supporters came out during the rescue and made their voices heard. This momentum carried on to Washington, D.C. We went straight to the halls of Congress and met face-to-face with our nation's leaders, pressuring them to sign on to the LRA Disarmament and Northern Uganda Recovery Act. The event was called How It Ends, and it became the largest African issue lobby day in our government's history. 2,000 supporters rallied on Capitol Hill, embarking on 500 meetings with members of Congress.
We have a moral responsibility to do what we can to help end it, and that is why you are here today.
The fact is, nothing good happens and nothing bad ends unless like-minded people come together to demand change.
Continuing to rally for additional support, the Hometown Shakedown enlisted Invisible Children advocates around the country, visiting the local offices of our representatives, asking for their support of this bill. But we knew the force needed to get it passed rested on more than just congressmen. So we came to you, and 253,512 people signed on to the citizen's arrest warrant for Joseph Kony, asking for President Obama to lead the international effort to end this war. In January, the State Department agreed to accept our signatures. We went to Washington, D.C. to deliver the warrants to the Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, Johnny Carson, and the Undersecretary for Democracy and Global Affairs, Maria Otero.
If we add this to what is going on in Congress and to all the other initiatives that you have related to making this happen, we really have an important movement.
Even with the support from the Youth of America, Senator Tom Coburn refused to lift his hold on the disarmament bill. In early March, we teamed up with Resolve Uganda to visit Coburn's office in Oklahoma to change his mind. For 10 days, activists came from around the country, sleeping outside to make their voices heard. On the 11th day, Coburn relented, and the hold was lifted. On May 12th, the Invisible Children community celebrated the historic passage of this bill, the most widely supported Africa-focused legislation in United States history.
These young members of the Invisible Children organization know that no child should live in fear of being abducted, mutilated, or killed. With that belief, they have helped make the children of Uganda visible to us. And now, with this legislation, we have the chance to truly join in this cause.